Because all the way from the UK, I have two very special people, very sought after artists. These guys are true professionals. They've lost their luggage, right, on the flight. No, the luggage, the airline has lost their luggage, right? But true professionals that they are, they're gonna take to the stage. They've borrowed, begged, and steal. No, they're not stolen, but they borrowed to get here so they can entertain you, so they can educate you. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna invite these guys up, but I want a bigger crowd. So we're gonna practice this clapping thing one more time, okay? So when I say, welcome on stage. All right, can I get that one more time with a Oh, they are ready, they are ready, we are ready. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Barber Society Live 2.4, the best barber show in Europe, isn't it, guys? Excellent. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's invite Alan Beak and Liam Twist.
Good afternoon, everybody.
You know what? I want to do so. We're going to get a selfie.
Let's do a selfie.
That's how we're professional. We're really professional. Can we get a selfie?
Everyone in there.
All you guys are back. Come on, get in there. Get in the selfie, guys. Great. Guys, Liam and Alan.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. I know that Chris has just mentioned that we've had a bit of a nightmare with our luggage, but we are professionals, okay? We are ready. We're here with excitement. We're here with passion, and we're here with commitment, okay? So there's a few things that we're going to talk about. Obviously, our haircuts being one of them. We're going to talk a little bit about ourselves, where we've come from, and how we are here today, okay? So my name is Alan Beak, and I co-own and I've co-founded our brand Ruger, and we're based in Manchester, okay? So I started cutting hair about 11, 12 years ago, and throughout my experience as a barber, I've decided to become that crossover, okay? Join that link between hairdresser and barber, because with the evolution of cutting hair, I think it's imperative now that we are equally as talented of using our clippers, our scissors, our hairdryer. Everyone now is that hybrid, that joint skill set of anyone that cuts hair. So we kind of like to stay away from the fact that, or brand ourselves as one thing. We are not a hairdresser, we are not a barber, we just come to work and we cut hair, okay? With me today is Liam Twist. I'm just going to let him give you a little intro into who he is and why his hair's so curly.
My name's Liam. I am an educator and creative director of Ruger. I've been with the company now for, was it 2.5 years?
2.5 years.
About 2.5 years. I've been cutting for about 7 or 8. And then Alan found me in a little dingy shop.
I found him on Grindr.
Dragged me to Glasgow, did a few shows. And then I ended up started working at Ruger. Then that's when we combined the whole hairdressing and barbering thing together with photography and started getting a lot more creative in the industry. I think that's where it all really, a couple of years ago, that's when it all started really, with like getting more creative rather than just doing standard men's haircuts. Everything started getting a lot more in-depth into styles and technique and stuff. Go on, big lad. So yeah, and then we're here today to just show you a bit about what we do in the shop every day.
Okay, so a few words I said to you before, okay. Passion, energy, excitement. We don't have our equipment today, so you'll see very few things behind us, but we don't give a shit because we have passion. We are driven by what's internal. We love this shit. In fact, I'm actually excited at the fact that we've not got any of our stuff with us because it gives us a bit of a challenge, okay? I'm excited no matter what. I'm like a little 8-week-old Yorkshire Terrier puppy, okay? And I'm passionate, okay? So these are the kind of things that I want to be like showing from me with my clients, okay? Your clients just don't come for a haircut. They don't come just to have that, their ears lowered and they're a little bit taken off here and a skin fade there. They come for that lift, okay? Your clients come in your shop because they want to feel better about themselves. The energy that I give off, they will absorb, okay? So I'm energetic in the shop. I'm passionate, okay? I'm committed to everything that I'm doing. So it's exactly the same. Every time that somebody walks in our shop, we make sure that we host them in. Hosting your clients is one of the most important things you can do. Not, morning, mate. I'm talking, good morning, mate, how are you doing? Like, the warmer you greet your clients, the more you host them, the more professional you are, the more intimate you are with your clients, the better the service will be. You're giving them that lift, okay? So let's get intimate with our clients. Guys, do you want to just come and take a seat, please? Can we have a round of applause for our models today? So once again, we were given 2 amazing models. We've not been able to prep them because we were so late because of the luggage situation. But we're not going to bitch, we're not going to moan, we're just going to crack on, okay? So, whether my client is in the shop or whether my client is on stage and I'm having to do a haircut, let's look at the factors that affect this haircut, okay? So, we have face shape, nice face shape. We have hair color, nice hair color. We have hair texture, nice hair texture. So basically, I'm really happy with my model today, thank you. Apart from the fact that he's insanely tall, and for me to style his hair, he's gonna have to stand down there. Because I'm a midget, and he's a big guy. Bear with me one moment. Okay, so like I said, we're taking into consideration all these factors now, okay? And we're not just talking about the obvious face shape, hair color, hair texture. I need to look at things like his job. What do you do for a living? What do you do for a living?
Recruitment.
He's in recruitment. And he's a hair model. A really good one. Okay, so I don't want anything that's too creative. I don't need something that's too out there. We're talking classical. Okay, so we can combine traditional and contemporary techniques of how to do this because we need to make sure that we're efficient with our work. Okay, so I want to get from A to B, not in the fastest time possible, but the most efficient. Okay, so in order for me to do that, experience has helped me build an intuitive way of cutting hair. Okay, so whether we're driving from A to B or cooking a meal, when we do something constantly, we gain what's called muscle memory, which means it just comes natural to us. So in order for me to gain muscle memory with a specific haircut, this one, I need to do it a number of times to build up the experience of how I do that. Okay, so I'm going to combine a few different ways of cutting this time. I'm going to club cut the entire of the hair. I'm going to uniform layer throughout the internal layers, and then I'm going to create a graduation towards the hairline. A stronger graduation towards the temple area. It's going to look cleaner and last him a little bit longer. And I'm going to leave the back a little bit longer and create a concave look at the back in accordance with his neckline. Again, just to give it more of a contemporary feel. So we're kind of crossing between traditional and contemporary. What are you doing?
So with my guy, because we had, like, what was it, 10 minutes backstage, he's going to burp, right? So we had 10 minutes backstage. So I didn't want to do a skin fade because, like, coming on stage, talking and having a little bit of prep backstage, it's hard to do a skin fade.
Yes, mate, are you okay? I am rushing, I'm on stage, but I'm not. No,
Alan.
Just water. Yeah, I will do, mate.
Right, so because we only had a little... Alan, will you shut up?
Sorry, could you hear me when I was in
Yeah,
there?
it's because you know in the toilet. Right,
Good
so
job I wasn't, sorry.
because we only had a little bit of time to prep, I've just gone with a nice easy square layer through the top to keep a nice bit of shape through the sides. And a taper, nice and quick, nice and easy, using 3 guards, because I don't want to go through full skin fade, not finish it, and then just look absolutely stupid on stage. So all I've done with my tapering, do a concave and a convex section through the back, just to take the weight out of here, but leave a bit of darkness around the nape there. And then, so I'm just going to go through. That was my 1.5 guard, open. Went in my 0, up with my half, and now I'm just using my 1 guard to take out this darkness here.
Okay, so I'm going to start my sectioning throughout the internal layers from the front of the head. Okay, now the reason why I'm doing that is because I'm trying to decide if I want to include any over direction with this style. I will do. So I want slight over direction from the front as I'm going to wear the hair all back. And if I cut at a right angle to the ground and not the head, that's just going to leave me with some slight elevation towards the front. Okay, so I'm going to take my sections from the fringe and work back to the crown, and then I'll do the opposite on both sides. So the first panel I'm working with is throughout the profile, and I'm going to do section 1. I will then bevel on both sides and do section 2 and 3. Okay, so it's at this point now I'm starting to think shape and form. Okay, so I'm automatically, if I had a mirror in front of me, I'm visualizing the kind of shape that I wanted to create. So whenever we talk about a male haircut, we automatically assume it's a what shape? Square shape. When we think feminine, we automatically think round, okay? When we say a square shape, we can sometimes leave way too much weight, we can leave an overhang, it can leave almost like a disconnection, and we want to connect the haircut in. We want it to be suitable, we want it to be relative to the client, we want it to be recreatable. So I want to create a look today that my client can recreate. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to cut directly through the profile and keep that nice and flat, but then I'm going to bevel both sides. So we're not talking square shape, we're not talking round. Imelda, dear, how are you, love? Okay, so what I want now is a specific shape that's going to maximize this look with my client, okay? It's going to exaggerate the style, and it's going to be perfect for his face. So the kind of look I'm going to go for is flat, beveled, and then graduated. So what the shape I'm going to have is what's more like a diamond shape, okay? So we have nice and flat, beveled edges, and a graduation going from the ears down. It's going to leave more of a diamond shape now. If I, again, like I have a mirror, or if I look through the silhouette, that's the kind of shape that I'm thinking of.
So now, what I like to do... Alan? Yeah, it's on now. Right? So what I like to do, I like to use one guard at a time going round the head, because it's a muscle memory thing, so you know exactly where you've been and where you need to go. Because what I find is if I keep having to change my guards, I keep having to look in the mirror to see where I've been or see where I need to go. And like, you look in the mirror and the client's sat there, they're like, you don't have to smile at me. Like, it gets really awkward. Like I'm doing something right, but I just want to get through without being too awkward. So I like to use a muscle memory technique instead of just changing clipper guards. And it takes a little bit more time. Like Alan was talking about, not doing it fast, but doing it, what's the word? Not fast.
Efficient.
Efficient. Doing it efficiently, because if I go around and keep having to stop and look, stop and look, stop and look, it's not really efficient. I keep having to look in the mirror. So if I know where I've been, like temple to ear, I can do the exact same thing there, like round the nape as well. It's all about efficiency at the end of the day, no matter what we do. If I'm doing a skin fade, if I'm doing a tape, if I'm doing a square layer, everything you do, we do the exact same steps all the time, just so we know where we're going, we know where we've been, and we get used to how we're doing it.
Okay, so my sections now are really, really long, and upon taking that first section, I've decided, instead of club cutting, I'm going to point cut throughout. So this alleviates one of the jobs that I need to do later on, which is texturizing. Okay, so what we feel, given the nature of like Ruger and how we cut hair, like I wouldn't say that we have a specific genre. We like to cut hair, we like to cut hair well. Okay, so if we was to categorize Ruger, again, we use traditional techniques for contemporary looks, but we like to focus on the word naturalism. Okay, and naturalism is the most accurate depiction of detail. So in order for us to produce the specific looks that we do, we must cut hair a very, very specific way. So I don't want to create the shape and then go through texturizing and take that shape away. I want to enforce the shape. Okay, so I'm working on panel 2 right now. So I'm taking a section on the corner of the head at the point where I bevel, okay? So as I take that section, because I am point cutting the hair, what I will do is I will hold my section. Then I will start to bend my fingers, and as I'm doing that, I don't need to move my hand. All I need to do is cut in that one place, and my section will move for me, up and down, up and down. what that allows me to do is to keep my cutting hand stationary, which will make all of my texturizing completely uniform. I create a consistent look throughout the hair. And what I find with texturizing sometimes is, especially with something like a razor, it can be inconsistent, which would mean that you could have hair that was overly textured on one side but not the other. If I adopt a very mechanical way of cutting hair, I create a consistent look throughout the entire of the head. So whether I'm doing clipper work or whether I'm doing scissor work, I gain muscle memory by using the same technique every single time. And remember, my cutting hand stays the same and my section moves. As long as I create enough tension with my section in hand, I shouldn't feed any more hair through into the section to alter the length.
So what I was doing with my main clipper then, when I was going through my half and my one, I was just using the corner, the very corner of it, because what you find, where the muscles around the scalp, on the skull, and the skull meets together, it's not always flat. So if I keep the blade flat, and you're going against a flat surface, it's fine. But the scalp has dents in it, little boulders, dark spots, light spots. So by using the corner, I can get into them and lighten it all up. Because all a fade is taking the hair a little bit shorter each time to expose more of the scalp, which lightens it up. So if there's like a dent in there, it's going to be darker. So if I go over all the same length, there's always going to be a dark spot. If I pick that out and expose more of the scalp, it's going to be a lot lighter. So even though we use the same methods each haircut, we have to change them a little bit for the shape of the skull and the indentations. Because it's when you're in the shop, it's hard to get a flawless fade on everyone's haircut. But by just picking hers out, you can lighten bits up. Just where there's little groups of hair more together, or the hair's a little bit darker in places. Because hair growth it's sporadic, it doesn't grow the same on everyone's hair. Everyone's hair is different colours, different textures. So you just have to adopt ways of getting through the haircut.
Okay, so now that I've worked on the front external layers, okay, I've done section 1, 2, and 3. It's like doing the Macarena then, wasn't it? Okay, so I've done sections 1, 2, and 3, and I have the hair texturized and the length reduced to the exact length that I want it right now. Each one is going to complement the end style. So what I need to do now is work on the graduation. So I'm going to do this by taking a section from higher above, okay? I'm going to put my finger on the side of the head and then comb over. And then once again, I'm just going to point through. This time, my cutting hand is going to be the one that's moving. Take another section over. Use the last section as your guideline that you can see. Pull your fingers out to the angle in which you want the graduation to be. And then just implement your graduation. So again, the angle of my fingers will depict the angle in which the hair lies. Making sure that my sections are small enough to make sure that I can get all of the hair. I'm not leaving my fingers in any danger. So once I've done one side, I will then mirror imprint that on the opposite side. And I always just find it so much cleaner and easier to do everything, bounce from one side to the other, as your brain will do something called mirror imprinting. So I'm more likely to create symmetry by doing one side and then the next, one side in the next, and then I can match up at the back once I have a guideline from the left and a guideline from the right.
So at the minute, I just wet the hair down again just because it dried in certain places, and because he's already got some product in there as well, the water helped to soften that up. And I'll just use that product that's already in, because obviously our products are in the suitcase that Alan lost. So all I'm doing now, I'm just going through the sides, getting a bit of shape in there. I'll do this side, then I'll do the top, and then what I'll do, I'll take out the weight from the sides to connect that into the taper.
Okay, so now fully externally, throughout the front and the sides, I have my desired length. Now I want to take a section from the top, bring that down past the ears, and separate the front to the back. As you can see, the kind of section that I'm going to be left with on that side, the same on the opposite. So I need to connect now the back in with the top. I've taken a section from the top, and that's also now going to be my guideline. So I'll take that first section, make sure my area is nice and clean. Lift up, and again, follow suit, and I'm going to point cut all the way down to below the occipital bone. I'll then take half of that section and then move over to the next, use my previous section as a guideline, and you can see that this kind of movement now is becoming very, very mechanical, almost robotic, and that is all you do. It's very, very mechanic, very, very robotic, and what you're doing is you're creating that muscle memory. Again, we were talking about consistency earlier on. If we do the same movement on one side as we do the other, I'm miming, aren't I? So we do the exact same movements on both sides. We become like a robot. We're producing consistent looks.
Alan, what's the most important part of a haircut for you?
Sorry?
What's the most important part of the haircut for you?
Good question, Liam. Okay, so when it comes to importance of specific areas of a service, we talked about hosting, okay? Now I think hosting people in is an insanely important aspect of the service. Somebody walks in, it's important that you acknowledge them, okay? And then the physical haircut itself. We shampoo everybody's hair, okay? It's so important that you're not just physically preparing them to have their hair washed, their haircut, you're mentally preparing them also. Can I ask, by show of hands, who washes people's hair in the salon? Who doesn't wash hair in the salon? I'm not saying it's good or it's bad, I'm just saying that what we do and the reasons why. I find it so important that we do, just because we take out any product, okay, it's nice and relaxing, okay, and your hair can become very, very much manipulated by environmental factors like the sun and wind and rain. So what we do is we reset the hair. If you've manipulated your hair by heat in the morning, if you've straightened it or you've curled it or exaggerated a wave, as soon as you wet that hair, with it being hygroscopic, what it will do is it will return back to its natural state. So when we wash hair, we're turning hair back to its natural state and cleaning it, and it feels good. When it comes to the actual haircut, the importance we can put into 3 categories. The top, which might be scissor work, okay? The sides, which would most likely be clipper work, and then the styling. So what's more important, the fade, the layering, or the styling? So hands up if you think fade. Hands up if you think the scissor work. Me also. Because it's longer, it's going to be there for longer. You fade, it might come out. I've seen the best fading people in the world, and they can't cut hair for shit. But they're the best faders you've ever seen. But then you'll see hairdressers who will do amazing work with the scissors who can't fade. And that is the ethos, and that is the kind of, exactly, the methodology that we do to try and incorporate the both. And then the actual styling itself. When it comes to styling, I think the most important thing when you're creating a look or a style on someone is that it's recreatable. Are they going to be able to do it themselves? When they leave, when they go home, when they're going on a date, when they're going to church, can they recreate what you've just done? Now, I do like to hear the words, I can't do that, and I say, fucking good, because I'm a professional, and I do this for a living, so I should be able to do it better than you. But, as a service provider, I have to educate my clients and make sure that they can do it themselves. You need 3 products. You need sea salt, you need Ruger Essential, and you need hairspray. 3 sales. okay? So I'm not out there just to make masses of money, but if I can make 3 sales on 3 products that I know that works, that will create that specific look with that one person, I will sell them. So I can create the looks, but I need to make sure that they can recreate it themselves. So in answer to your question, I think scissor work is the most important.
Do you reckon?
Yeah. Do you oppose? Come on then, Billy Big Bollocks, give me your argument.
Right.
Get up here and tell me the reason why.
Because no one really looks at the scissor work and like, oh, that's good scissor work. If you look at the fade, but if you do a shit haircut, you can hide it with product. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
All right, okay.
Yeah. I'm not saying we do shit haircuts and hide it with product, but it's
what
possible.
What are you trying to say? He's got a shit haircut.
So yeah, with my blow dry, what I've done, adding water to hair, it has an effect. So if I straighten my hair, add water, it's going to go back curly. So taking all the moisture out, and then with the heat, so you take all the moisture out, soften all the hair down, because hair's like plastic, the keratin in the hair heats up, softens down, and then you can mold it into whatever shape you want. And as soon as you hit it with a cool blast, it stays. So just because he's not really got much product in his hair, I added a bit of water just to help me out a little bit. But then heated the hair up, got it to how I wanted it, cooled it down, and it's staying pretty much where I put it. I just need to add a little bit more product to give it a little bit more hold.
Okay, can I have a show of hands? Who would like to see Liam's hair straightened? Before you leave today, I swear to Lord, I'm straightening your hair. Okay, so now I've come to the point where I'm going to blow dry my model's hair, okay? And like Liam said, we try and manipulate the hair to an extent to just exaggerate the look. If someone's got wavy hair, I'm not going to try and blow dry that out, because if you try and blow dry out wavy hair, it's very noticeable. I want all of my looks to look intentional. If someone's got a longer beard, but then no like, tidy outline, it's intentional. If somebody's got a tapered neckline, but then no strong outline, it's intentional. If somebody's got really, really wavy hair, and it wasn't so wavy to start with, everything that we do is intentional. It's supposed to be that way. And whenever I post a picture on Instagram and someone doesn't like a specific aspect of that and says, why didn't you shape him up? Why didn't you do on top of his cheeks? It's all intentional. It was all supposed to be that way, and we have good reason for it. So it's exactly the same now with my model. What I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the areas on the outside of the neck just a little bit longer. So it's not going to look like a mullet, it's just going to give that kind of appearance. Again, what we're looking for now is a contrast between harder and soft lines. So look at a standard taper right now. You have a strong arch at the temple, then you have a soft taper, strong arch above the ear, strong line down the back of the ear, and a tapered neckline. We're contrasting between short, long, hard lines and soft lines. It's a very, very unique look at the moment. It creates a hell of a lot of work for us because it's more difficult to do. I want the sides big or heavy. I want the sides on a skin fade. The increase of contrast is going more and more and more popular because it fucking looks cool, but it's hard to do. So we are creating a lot of work for ourselves by creating these incredible looks, but we just need to continue and work on it, continue with our formulas. As soon as we get better at our formulas, we increase muscle memory, everything becomes a lot easier. So now I'm going to blow dry my model's hair before I do anything, before I alter any more length. I need to see how it's going to look when I style it. Then I'm going to start to manipulate the hair ever so slightly, or just exaggerate what he's already got. So your hair, keratin, is made up of a very, very plastic-like material. If we get it very, very hot, we can manipulate it into different shapes, okay? If we want to curl it around something, we create lots and lots of heat. You bend it over, say, a round cricket brush, you let it cool, it'll stay that way, okay? If it's really, really curly, we put it between between two hot irons, we pull it, we stretch it out, it creates a very, very straight look. If you want to return it back to its natural state, you can wet the hair and it just returns it back to its natural state. So at this moment, I'm going to use a very slow heat to create minimum, to overcomplicate the look or to create too much manipulation. So I'm going to start with a very, very slow heat. What are you up to, bollocks?
So I usually do, on my fades, my tapers, when I'm taking weight out, it's 90% clipper work, 10% scissors. And using someone else's scissors, it's so hard. It's like sleeping to someone else's wife, innit?
It's great.
It's so hard to get used to them. So I'll try to do 95% clipper over comb, just to take all the weight out. I'm just refining with a scissor over comb. Just to take a little bit of weight out, a little bit of darkness, and just tidy it all up, make it all a little bit softer. Just to connect all that weight into the taper towards the back.
Okay, so I want to create volume in the hair now. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to try and do when it comes to the front of the hair is I'm not going to blow out through the ends, I'm going to blow from the root up. So that's the most important thing right now. I want to create that internal structure, I want to get that lift at the root over anything else. And I'm going to chop and change between using my hands and using a flat vent brush. So I'm going to lift the hair away from the head and let the airflow go between the hairs and create lift from the root up. That's just going to give me this nice bow at the front of the head. Now if you look at the silhouette of my client there, if I just move him around so you can see in the screen, we're going to create this little bow, and we're going to do that by getting a grip of the hair and staying really, really close to it. Now I'm going to allow that to cool on its own and work on the opposite side. If I can move the chair. So again, just focusing on that lower section at the forehead, just making sure we get this lower structure, say from the forehead to about 1 inch above the hair. So create a little bend, heat, and lift up. So it's okay in creating a specific look for a client, but I want longevity in the style. I don't want him to walk outside and it just to disappear straight away. I want to create the look and I want it to stay that way.
Do you reckon, is longevity important when we're in the shop?
Sorry?
Is longevity important when we're in the shop? Is that something you always look for?
So your client will always return because you're creating a really good look for them. Now we can extend that longevity and just let them know that, let's say for example, someone wanted a number 2 back and sides. I would instantly say, well, what I'm going to do is I will do the 2 back and sides, but your sideburn and the nape of your neck I'm going to take to a half. I'll take clean out. Now what it's going to do is it's going to make that a little bit more technical for me, but it's going to give them a little bit more longevity in their haircut. And all I would do is explain to them, I'm going to take the sides a little shorter and the sides, it's going to give you a little bit longer within the haircut. I'm exceeding the expectation of the client then. One, I'm doing something a little bit more that's more technical that I'm going to enjoy, not something as simple and as boring as doing a number 2 back and sides. And by me showing that commitment to the client by giving them a little bit more value for money, they're always going to come back.
Because that's one thing I like longevity in a haircut. Because you know when you shape someone up, I try not to take it back too far. So with this, it's still intentional, but it's still natural at the same time. I don't want to push it too far back, get a really good arch on it. But in 2 or 3 days time, it's all grown back, it's all messy, it's spiky. Especially with someone who comes every 3 or 4 weeks. It's alright if they come every week because you know you're going to do it again, but you want the haircut to look good for as long as possible. Because if someone's out and they're like, oh, where'd you get your haircut? And it looks terrible, that's your business card. So by making it look as good as possible for as long as possible, that's what I think gets your clients on word of mouth.
Okay, some of the specific products that we can use when blow drying hair. Okay, so normally I would have brought the product range that I have had made and manufactured in the UK, which is our Ruger bespoke products, but because they're somewhere in an Amsterdam airline, 5 minutes, what I've had to do is improvise. Now, at this specific moment, I asked during backstage, I asked my model what product he was using, and he was using the American Crew Forming Cream. Now, does anybody else use American Crew in here? If you haven't already used them, it's a product, it's really, really versatile, that you can blow dry through hair. Now, the fact that he's styled his hair with it already just means that I don't have to put any product in. I can just blow dry with it in there. It will expand within the hair and give me kind of like a next day and heavily textured feel. If we was to use a sea salt spray, I would do the exact same thing, put it into wet, clean hair and blow dry it through. Now what that's going to do is the heat is going to get rid of all the water and moisture that's in the hair and leave behind the residue that is the sea salt. It's acidic, which means it's going to open up the cuticle and make the hair thicker and fuller and a lot easier to style. So a pre-styling agent before we blow dry the hair is always, always advised. Sorry? Yes, there is loads. Get some like Andrew with ADH or something. Okay, so we are here now for the next few hours. I know this has only been a short time, 40 minutes on stage isn't loads. If anyone does have any questions, anyone does have anything that they want to ask us, anyone wants to say hello, me and Liam will be floating around for the rest of the day. So make sure you do come and say hello. Let's have a picture, take our clothes off, do whatever we need to do. So as you can see now with my model, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to over-direct the sides up. That's just going to strengthen that shape. And it's going to make my life a lot easier when it comes to styling the hair exactly how I want it. Now you can see it's taking a little bit longer, but I don't want to overdo it. I don't want to create too much manipulation. I'm just trying to make sure that we put the hair into the position that we want it. As you can see, for the kind of shape and style I'm trying to achieve on this side. And I'm not sticking to one specific area. I'm making sure I hit an area, let it cool down, and then return back to that area. Again, we're not trying to force the hair to be dry. We're just going through it and helping it slowly be put into shape.
So I've just put a bit of Morris Motley on. And Morris Motley, it's a good product, it's water-based. So I know if I want to blow dry it through, I can take all the moisture out and it's still going to look nice and natural. It's not going to be too greasy. So because it's water-based, you can obviously take the water out with heat rather than being an oil-based product where it's greasy, hard to get out. So in the shop, all our products are water-based as well.
Okay, so now I'm just going to use the cold shot, okay, and set the hair into that position before I start to organize and tidy all the edges up, and again, make this haircut look intentional.
So now that any bit of moisture that's left in, what's making the hair a little bit shiner, going to use the hair dryer just to get it out. just to heat it up, take all the moisture out, leave it a lot more natural, a lot more matte, a lot more textured.
So all I'm doing right now is strengthening the sideburn areas, okay? And when it comes to any kind of progression, in order for us to know exactly where we want to be, I might want to be, let's say, better with my clipper work, better with my scissor work. We need to know exactly where we're at right now, okay? So we compartmentalize every part of the haircut. With our clipper work, our blending in, our edges, our layering, our texturizing, our styling, okay? We break all these down into different components and mark ourselves. We give ourselves an actual mark from 1 to 10 out of all of these, and we can see what's forming, okay? What do we need to work on as people, as an individual, to better yourself? So it's about time that what you do is you judge yourself. Everyone's their own best critique, the worst critique as it is anyway. But if you judge yourself on everything that you do, and then work out what it is you want to improve. Do you want to finish off, Liam? Do you want to just do a recap?
Yeah, so with my model backstage, I did a square layer on top to get that shape. When I come towards the fringe, it was more of a triangular section, just to get a bit of length on the fringe and take a bit of weight out the back. And I tapered through the sides, starting a little bit higher, my 1.5 guard. Went to my 0, between that and my half, and then worked between that. And then I took a little bit of weight out the sides with the scissors, and then just took the weight out from the taper with my clipper over comb, and then tied it up with the scissors a little bit. And then added a small amount of Morris Motley in it, just so I can play about a bit. Add a bit of texture, but for it still to look natural and not too greasy.
Okay, so now I've just finished up the edges, making sure that, again, my haircut looks intentional. Nice and clean, concave the back of the hairline. Done.
So guys, have you enjoyed the presentation you've seen just now? Have you enjoyed Alan and Liam? Oh my days. Let me just start again. Just a little whoop, whoop, whoop. Just one little one. Just for me. Thank you very much. So guys, they're just finishing their haircuts now. They're just putting the last final touches on it. Make them feel welcome, guys. Let them reveal their models so you can take a closer look, take some pictures. Ladies and gentlemen, you have witnessed Alan Beak and Liam Twist from the UK.
Head right. Yeah, done now.
I'm pretty surprised you actually finished. It's very rare that Alan finishes a haircut on stage.
Because I do too much talking.
Oh yeah, of course. It's all right.